Hey folks, Tyler here with Seaway Whisky Wire. Well guys, I've been challenged. I've been challenged to share with you guys my top 7 most interesting whiskeys in my collection. And who do you guys think challenged me? None other than my old friend, the Whiskey Shaman. So you know what, Randall? I graciously accept your challenge. I've got my list all ready to go here, and I can't wait to share it with everybody. But before I get into my list, I thought we'd keep this chain rolling, you know. I got 3 other YouTubers that I want to challenge, and I'm keeping them all Canadian this time. So, Matt from Whiskey on the West Coast, I'm challenging you. Put together your list and bring it. I can't wait to see it. Second, John the Whiskey Neighbor, you're up next. I'm challenging you to put together your list and share it. I can't wait to see what you bring, buddy. You got a wicked collection, and I can't wait to see it. Thirdly, Steve and Les over at Tabletop Tastings. I'm challenging you guys to put together your list. Keep the board games in the background and bring the whiskey to the forefront. I can't wait to see your list, guys. So yeah, so the rules of this here, we got 7 categories, your top 7 most interesting whiskeys in your collection. So the categories are as follows, and I'm going to put them in order, and then I'm going to present them in that order. So number 1 is going to be a Scotch. Number 2 is going to be a rye whiskey. 3 is going to be a bourbon. Number 4 is going to be a weeded one. I'm actually going to make a small audible because I don't have any weeded whiskey, so we're going to go from weeded to peated. See what I did there? I thought it was pretty clever. Anyways, we'll see how that goes. Next is going to be a whiskey that's finished, and then a single malt for 6, or an American single malt. For me, it's probably going to be single malt. I'm going to spoil that for you guys right now. And then the number 7 pick is going to be a unicorn bottle or a special release. So I've taken some time and I put together my list, and I can't wait to see the list of these guys I've challenged to come out with. So without further ado, let's get on with the show. Right up with category 1 is Scotch. So for category 1, Scotch, I had to go with my old friend here, the Glenfarclas 105. It's a cask strength whiskey, 100% Amoroso sherry cask from one of my favorite distilleries, Glenfarclas, obviously. Comes in at 60% ABV. And I mean, it's like Christmas in a glass every time you indulge in this. And I love the control that the cask strength offers, where you can add a little bit of water. You can drink it right at 60% if you want to burst your taste buds and send your flavor profile into overload here. But I mean, it's just such a nice whiskey. You water it down a little bit there, and again, like Christmas in a glass, you get all those spices and all those fun flavors in there too. The sweet, the dates, the raisins, and it's just like eating Christmas cake in a glass. So my Scotch choice here for most interesting whiskey is going to be the Glenfarclas 105. Number 2 is going to be my rye pick. So for the rye pick, I kind of cheated a little bit because I don't actually have the bottles in my possession. I've just got the samples here. But I had to go with the Beaver Drams from Dunrobin Distillery in Vankleek, Ontario. And the reason I went with the Beaver Drams, number 1, they're a premium product, premium rye whiskey from Canada. Bottled at 46%, which is a nice craft presentation for that. But the really cool thing about them, and which makes them really interesting, in my opinion, is the 7 Seals Innovation Stockhausen method they use to distill. So they basically use some souped up equipment to basically take the aging out of the whiskey. So you don't have to age these whiskeys in barrels for years and years and years and years and years. You just kind of distill them, and they use some pretty cool proprietary stuff for it. I actually did a flight of these just a couple weeks ago, so check out my video on those if you want more information on the Stockhausen method and the 7 Seals Innovation process. But yeah, just a very, very cool product. Very, very cool, innovative way to put together whiskey. And, you know, I'm still kind of on the fence if this is a process I like, but it's definitely a profile I like. So my pick for the rye category is going to be probably the sherry, the sherry finished Beaver Dram from Dunrobin Distillery. So category 3 is going to be for bourbon, and this time I went with something here that I've just started drinking and I'm really enjoying it. It's what's in my glass tonight, so I'm just going to take a quick little sip of it here because I'm really, really enjoying it. And that, my friends, is the Yellowstone Special Finishes Collection Toasted. It's a bottle at 50% ABV, and they use toasted oak staves in the process for maturation. And you know what, it starts off with the Yellowstone distillate, which I'm a very big fan of and really enjoying the Yellowstone Select. This is just the Yellowstone Select cranked right up a notch. Not available in Ontario, which I think makes it pretty interesting for those around. I'm pretty sure it's very readily available in the US and maybe readily available out west, but in Ontario you can't get it right now. It was a donation from the Luxro folks in Canada, so thank you guys for sending it over to the channel. I'm really starting to enjoy it. And yeah, it's just a very nice, well-rounded bourbon, very smooth, and just some really cool flavors in there. I find the toasted oak staves give it some nice kind of almost like a campfire, almost like a s'mores or a marshmallowy kind of flavor to it. And you know, it's a 50% ABV, 100 proof. It does not drink like that whatsoever. So yeah, my pick for the bourbon category for most interesting bourbon in my collection is going to be the Yellowstone Special Finishes Toasted Stave. Well guys, we're on to category 4, which is going to be not wheated but peated in my case, just because I don't own any wheated whiskey. So this particular one is one of the ones that I give a lot of folks when they come over here. I talk a lot about it on my channel and on Instagram and whatnot. It's readily available, but still a very interesting whiskey in my collection, and that's going to be the Kilchoman Sinag. You know, the Wills family over in on Isla there have been just making some great stuff at Kilchoman there. It's a farm distillery, you know, so everything's done kind of on there. It's Port Ellen peated barley, but I mean, it's packed such a punch and a wallop, like, you know, full peat, and it's primarily sherry matured, which I'm a huge sherry guy, as you know. So I mean, I've compared it to basically drinking cherry Coke next to the ocean. So how can you get those flavors anywhere else? It's a great whiskey. It's one of my favorites, and I definitely want to get more into the Kilchoman range here. But as far as you know, why it's interesting, it's just a very, very cool, you know, family-owned business and farm distillery. So my pick for the wheated category, the peated category, is going to be the Kilchoman Sinag. Well guys, we're on to the finished whiskey category, and it's going to be another Scotch for me. I was thinking about going with the Tomatin 14-year-old, you know, the Portwood finish offering from Tomatin, which I'm really fond of. I thought that might be a little too obvious, so I started rooting around in my collection here. I pulled out kind of an old one that's been sitting around, but it is one that I do enjoy and give to folks when they come by. And it's got an interesting finish, and that is the Old Pulteney Huddart. And the Old Pulteney Huddart is finished in ex-peated whiskey casks, bourbon matured, but you know, it's great stuff from the Old Pulteney distillery up there in Wick. And you know, it's the maritime malts, so you get those coastal notes, you get that salty sea breeze in there, those bourbon notes, and then you get that little hint of peat from the ex-peated whiskey casks. They don't specify where they get the casks from, but you know, I still think it's kind of cool that they finish it in the ex-peated malt casks. So yeah, it's kind of interesting for sure. And my pick for the finished whiskey category is the Old Pulteney Huddart. All right, guys, on to the single malt or American single malt category. For me, it's going to be a single malt, and that's going to be a whiskey that's near and dear to my heart, one that I've been really enjoying lately, and another cask strength whiskey, and that, my friends, is the Ardnamurchan 80 cask strength. Why did I choose this one? I mean, Ardnamurchan offers so much. You know, they just give so much transparency, so much information. The little QR code on the back, you can find everything you would ever want to know about the distillate in there. And I mean, it's just a great dram. You've got ex-bourbon, ex-sherried in there. A good portion of it is peated malt, so it's got that little kick of peat that you like, and it's also, you know, the colder climate up there in at the Ardnamurchan distillery just adds to the complexity of flavors, and I'm really digging all those flavors that are in there. It's as full flavored as you want it to, or you can dial it back as much as you want to with the water. So my pick for the single malt category is going to be the Ardnamurchan 80 cask strength. All right, guys, on to the final category, which is your unicorn bottling or your limited release. In this particular case, it's going to be a limited release, and it's going to be a Canadian limited release to boot. And I'm going to go with the Glen Breton 15-year-old from the Glenora Distillery in Nova Scotia. This was a bottle that was picked up by my buddy Lucas, and he was nice enough to send it over to me to have some drams of it there, and I'm really enjoying it. Bottled at 43%. But yeah, if you guys don't know the story, Ralphie does a great video on it. I think it was actually his first or second video that he released, where he talks about the Scotch Malt Whisky Society suing a couple distilleries in Canada for use of the name Glen, thinking it would be confusing to consumers and stuff, about, you know, thinking that this Canadian whiskey is going to be seen as Scotch whiskey, or confusing the market to think it's going to be Scotch whiskey, which, you know, obviously is silly. I think McAloney's was the other one that got sued at the time too. But anyways, there was a huge legal dispute, and Glenora ended up winning the right to use the name Glen. And yeah, so Glen Bretton's still around today. They're still making whiskey, but this particular one was made to commemorate the Battle of the Glen, and it's got a cool little booklet. I've got a review coming up of this soon, and I'm really looking forward to sharing it with you guys. But just, yeah, very cool whiskey, very cool story behind it, and you know, tougher to get, and I don't know many people that have a bottle of this. So Lucas, thank you very much for sending that over to the channel, and I'm happy to present it today. So my pick for the unicorn or limited bottling is the Glen Bretton 15. Well guys, that about wraps it up here. So if you've tuned in this long, thank you very much for sticking around. And if you like what we're doing here at Seaway Whisky Wire, like and subscribe down below. And don't forget to check me out on Instagram at Seaway Whisky Wire. I love putting this video together, very, very fun. I can't wait to see the lists that are put together from the folks I challenged. So just a reminder, Matt at Whiskey on the West Coast, John the Whiskey Neighbor, and Les and Steve over at Tabletop Tastings. I'm looking forward to your list, guys. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sticking around. And Whiskey Shaman, thanks for the nomination. Really enjoyed the video and putting this together for you guys. So take care, all the best, and I'll see you around. Bye for now.